Yeah, it does.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're live.
Yeah. Shit. Okay.
God, we're live. I just always like to see a little number come up here before we get started, just to make sure. And I'll just check
16
on my.
seconds.
It's all very technically, such a polished show. It really is. I just want to make sure that we are, in fact.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, we are. Okay. We're on. Welcome, everybody, to another exciting installment of the lockdown.
Oh.
I have been getting feedback from people.
I think we should call it Rahui.
Call it what?
Rahui.
Okay.
Rahui.
Rahui.
It's kind of it's a Maori word.
Yes.
Rahui.
Rahui.
It's a Maori word, and it's sort of they've stopped calling it lockdown on BFM and started calling it Rahui.
Okay.
It's just a nicer word with less present connotations, and it's about sort of respecting distance and stepping back. And I actually don't know the full meaning of it, but I know that it's an applicable word to replace lockdown.
Yeah,
and it just sounds it's a nicer word.
I'm going to just make sure that I'm pronouncing it properly. Rahui. Rahui. Yeah, that's it. Welcome to Rahui, and my special guest today is Otis Frizzell, and I don't prep these shows, and you know what? One of the key things about any successful broadcaster is to prep shows. But I don't, and that's why this is going to be a very limited run. I plan to have this a little bit like Faulty Towers, where everyone goes, "Oh, it was quite good. He was quite good," but then he only did like 6 episodes and disappeared because it's just not something I'm very good at. But I do love speaking to people, and Otis I've only met I think twice, but I'm a bit of a bloody fan to be honest, and so he was actually going to stop it. Do you know what? I haven't been wearing shirts, and people have been messaging me saying, "Hey, I've really liked your show, but I think you look a bit scruffy wearing t-shirts." And so today, I'm wearing a shirt for the first time, and you're wearing a t-shirt. You wouldn't even give a shit if I was wearing a t-shirt or not.
And then I show up with a bloody t-shirt on.
Sorry?
Then I show up with a t-shirt on.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, tell me about your music days. And from the start with was it MCOJ Rhythm Slave? Is that what?
Holy shit!
Is that?
Yep.
Is that right? Tell me about that.
So in 1984, when I was at Selwyn College in Auckland, I met Mark Williams, who is now DJ Slave, Log Cabin, my best friend. He's a number of things. We met at school. He came to New Zealand from America. He was an apple pie sort of kid. Chuck Taylors and 501s and a white t-shirt. His mum had chicken in the fridge and milk and cookies. He was the full deal. And I was the smartass with leopard striped Dr. Martens and a shitty attitude and a mohawk. And so I was tasked to look after him and show him around the school. We just hit it off. Immediately hit it off. We're both into good music. Dad had sort of been, pushed great, or not pushed, but exposed me to great music from a young age. And so we just liked music, and we started listening to music and sort of making music. And in drama class, we would like rap Shakespeare sonnets and stuff like that because we were getting into hip hop. And so I mean that's where it all started. And then we just formed bands with other kids at school and played sort of rock and roll and parties, and then hip hop took over, and we were doing club gigs before we left. Well, sort of just when we left high school. We were too young to get in.
When did you get into the studio for the first time? The two of you together, like recording. And where did you go? Can you remember?
Probably. Wait a minute. into the elbow.
Well done.
Probably when we were like 20, I think. Yeah, 20. We were doing a gig at, I believe, the Box downtown in Murray Cammack.
Yeah.
Got wind of
Yes.
it or came down to see us, and he basically said, "Hey, you guys, do you want to make a record?" And we were like, "I'll make a record. We can hardly make a racket." But we did. We'd been in the BFM studio a few times, just sort of doing jingles and trying to put a few things together with some beats and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it was in the at the lab. Was it with the lab with with George Hubbard and Daniel Barnes. Yeah. And in the studio, a bit of Eduardo from BFM, and just a bunch of different people helped out, and we put together MCOJ and Rhythm Slave. What can we say?
Brilliant. How long did it take you to? What were you recording on? Were you recording on tape, or had we sort of moved on from there when you were starting to record?
I've lost you. I have no sound.
Oh, have you got me?
No, not even quiet
Not
sound.
even.
Just no sound.
No sound. Bugger.
No, I've got to go and blow my nose. I don't have a cold,
okay.
but that sneeze brought it on. Hold there.
All right. He's off to blow his nose, which is fair enough. So it's been a good week this week. We've spoken to Cam Baggery, the Economist. If someone said to me, "Oh, I don't know if I want to watch that 'cause it's too depressing," then I had a mate that actually went back and watched it today, and he said, "Gee, I really enjoyed that. It just sort of it reinforced that it's not the end of the world." So it's probably more positive than I sort of gave him credit for. I really enjoyed that.
Nothing. I got nothing.
You can't hear me.
Nothing.
You can't hear me. Damn.
There's no sound, bro. We've lost it.
We had you there. We had you, and it's all gone, eh? Great interview.
So I quit out and try again.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, do that, and I'll talk to these guys.
Hello.
Yeah, so if you go back and have a go through my page and check the Cam Baggery interview, it might actually give you some hope more than anything else. And then we spoke to Mike King. He was bloody good. He was very funny actually. Let me see if we got him back. Have we got you back?
You got me back.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Have you got me?
Yeah.
You can hear me. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Good man.
This is
now we were talking about recording. So, and you said to begin with you thought it was a lab, but then you said no, it was somewhere else. If you have your recording.
It was. I just can't remember. I've got a mind blank.
That's all right. So. How many albums did you guys record together? How long?
We made one. We made one album as MCOJ and Rhythm Slave.
Yes.
And during that process, we worked with like George Hubbard and Daniel Barnes, the Straw People. You know, Mark Tierney and
yes,
Mark and God, I'm having all sorts of mind blanks.
That's all right.
Oh, he's one of my favorite guys. Anyway, that'll come back to me. And our friends from BFM and so that's actually when we met DLT. But what happened was after we met DLT, we put out our first album, and we actually started to get our shit together and write a few more songs, and we sort of felt we sort of got better at it. So we canned the name MCOJ Rhythm Slave, and we joined forces with DLT, and called us. DLT was the DJ for Upper Hut Posse.
Yes.
So we joined forces with DLT, and then we formed Joint Force.
Brilliant.
And we did an EP and a bunch of singles and stuff.
And how about
a huge discography?
Sorry. Yeah. So tell me this: how about the whole? When did you get into your art? Have you always done art? Were you doing this at the same time as you were creating and doing the music side of things?
Yeah, it was a simultaneous thing, and
yeah,
I was sort of always fascinated by the sort of low art, as it's called, like tattoos and graffiti art and comic books, and you know what I mean. Not the world of high art, and and I started doing graffiti out. Honestly, when I was about 13, I was stealing spray cans and climbing out of the bedroom window. Um, but I just sort of got better at that, and I pretty soon stopped doing illegal graffiti because I actually started getting paid to do walls and stuff like that for
Yes.
people, and I wasn't really in it for the notorious fame of it. I wasn't desperate to be notorious. I really just wanted to do some murals with spray
Yes.
cans. So as soon as I got good enough, I didn't have to climb out of my bedroom window anymore. People would pay me, and it started. The classic 6 pack of pizza. You know what I mean? Sort of, you paint my wall, and I'll pay for the paint.
Yeah.
But then it sort of turned into if you paint my wall, I'll pay you to paint my wall. So and that was happening the whole time through the sort of hip hop career, and I was doing a lot of painting with DLT because he's a graffiti artist as well. And then I did a tattoo apprenticeship at Dermographics in Ponsonby on College Hill.
Yeah.
And so I started tattooing, doing graffiti art, and doing hip hop. Then we started doing radio. So sort of simultaneously, I was a sort of broadcaster, rapper, graffiti artist, tattoo artist, illustrator, graphic design guy. Yeah.
And how many years has it been that you've actually been able to make a decent living from doing art? Tell me about the collaboration with Mike Weston.
Okay. It's a similar story.
Yeah.
Before 2000, I did a group show with a bunch of graffiti artists, contemporaries, and Mike Weston had a gallery on K Road, and so there was like a dozen of us, and we all did paintings and had a big hoolie and beers, and everyone got wasted, and it was fun. And Mike bought my piece. I did a piece of a geisha girl, and he actually said, "Look, I really like your work." He was a bit of an art dealer, wheeler dealer, sort of collector, and he said, "Would you like to do a solo show?" And I was like, well, "I don't know." That was my initial reaction. Was like, "I don't want to do a solo show." It's like, I'm not an artist. I'm a graffiti guy. And he was like, "Well, I think if we
Right.
sort of if we pitched it right and it did some good advertising, and Mike's actual genius stroke was like, we'll treat it like a gig. Like, we'll do posters as if it's like a concert, not an art gallery show. We'll sort of flip it on, sort of treat it like try and get it big and try and get so many people that the cops come and try and shut it down." And he was like, "Let's do a big Otis art gig, and we can do it." And he had the gallery, so I just started painting, and that was in 2020, and it was hugely successful. It took a long time to paint, but it was. So can you wait there for a minute?
Yeah, no worries. If you've got a question for Otis, you can try sending it to me. Good luck with that. I'll see if I can find your questions on my iPhone. Comments on the shirt too would be appreciated, since I've made the effort of actually wearing a shirt, because a lot of you have been highly critical of my attire this week. Highly critical, I might say. Bordering on offensive by some of you. So I've worn a shirt. He's back.
It's hilarious. We've still got deliveries and pickups and couriers coming.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah, that's a bit of the story we'll get to in a little bit. Where was I? So I had a solo show, and it was successful. We sold a lot of art.
Yeah.
And Mike sort of said, "Hey, perhaps I could be your art dealer." And I was like, "Well, what do I need an art dealer for?" And he was like, "For the art career you're about to have." And so I did. He was like, "You got to take it seriously. Let's do some stuff." And we kind of joked. It was like we followed the sort of musical structure. Like, we joked like Eminem and Dr. Dre. I was Eminem and he was Dr. Dre. I was doing the rhymes, he was making the beats. So we sort of did this sort of collaboration together, but put me at the front, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
And
I'm not being rude. I'm just checking questions while we're talking. Have you? I take it you've watched the Defiant ones. Have you watched the Defiant ones?
Yeah.
God, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The Defiant, because when Mark and I were in our sort of peak time with Daryl, we did support, for De La Soul. Oh
wow.
Public Enemy, Ice Cube, Ice T, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Shakademus Suppliers from Jamaica, Cypress Hill. We played with them all because we were sort of we're a good party act and a good sort of starter for a hip hop show. You know what I mean?
When you do that, do you actually hang out with the main act backstage? Do you get to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
You do.
Crazy times with Cypress Hill in the hotel room. I'll tell you that. Back in the days,
because aren't you good friends with Melissa Etheridge?
Yeah. On that strange list of jobs that I was telling you about, I used to drive for musicians and internationals when they came to New Zealand. I sort of lied my way into that job. That's a whole nother podcast. I started. I had a job on a Stephen King miniseries, just being the runner, the toilet paper guy.
Yeah.
When I was quite young, and I got that job because I overheard a producer in a cafe saying, it was called Tommyknockers, saying Tommyknockers had to fire their driver because he had a crash, right? And it was one of the producers. And I was like, oh, I know where that office is. And I went in and said, I hear you're looking for a driver. And they were like, oh, yeah. So they said, well, we're desperate for one. We'll hire you. You got to work for a week for free. But if you get the job, if we like you, then you get the job. And so I got the job as a toilet paper runner and doing running the film to the production house and stuff. But I met a couple of the actors and they liked me and promoted me to driving the actors and the lead cast. And we went to a couple of gala events and stuff like that. And I was with them. It was back in the days of Jimmy Smits. Was it LAPD Blue or anyway? He was big news.
Yeah. LA Law.
LA Law. Anyway. Again, this is over 20. This is nearly 30 years ago. Don't ask me. Too many
it's in my head. Yeah.
But so I went to a few events and I was hanging out with the other cast members. And so like a month after that, someone rang me and said, "Look, are you a driver security guy?" Someone found my number, and I said, Yeah, I am a driver security guy. And he said, well, we got Guns N' Roses coming to New Zealand next week. We need someone to show them around and sort of, and I was like, no, that's what I do. And so I got that job and it went really well. And I got along really well with the band. And
really? A good guy?
Slash and Slash was great. Axel was a weird, spoilt little child.
Okay.
Matt Sorum, the drummer, great guy. But they actually said to the promoter afterwards, was like, well, Otis is great. It's the best driver we've had on the whole tour. They bigged me up. And they're like, oh, okay. And then and here's a list. I drove for Guns N' Roses, U2, Elton John, Janet Jackson, Melissa Etheridge, Keanu Reeves and Dogstar, Tool, Korn. I can't even remember. I smoked a joint with Elton John.
Did you? It's classic. If you missed that, he said, "I smoked a joint with Elton John." What was Bono like?
He was suffering
as well. Sorry, did I say that?
He was suffering from his sort of God complex. That was the seeds of it. You know what I mean?
Oh, good.
He thought he was pretty important, but the rest of the band were really lovely. I mean, he was fine, but I mean, fuck it. It's like when some people are so huge, which they were. This was the Zooropa tour, and it was like, this was peak U2.
Yes,
and when enough people tell you you're amazing and buy your shit, and you've got so much money, you kind of do start to feel maybe more important than you really are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've gone through that phase before. Yeah,
I've seen it on a few people, but so I drove for Melissa Etheridge when she was in New Zealand. And we got along very well. It was really simple. It was like we just instantly became friends. Strangely enough, we just got along so well. And honestly, I don't know what that magic was, but and when she left, she was like, Otis, if you're ever in LA, give me a call. I'd love to hang out. And as luck would have it, the next year, we stayed in contact. Just
Yeah.
a couple of. Did we have emails back then? I don't even know how we did it. Probably the very first emails when everyone had funny names and didn't use their real ones when it was a novelty. And I went to LA and I called her on her on her phone and said, "Hi, Melissa, it's Otis. I'm in LA." And she said, "Where are you staying?" And I said, "On my friend's couch in Silver Lake." And she was like, "No, come stay at my place. I've got a giant house and no one's in it." And so she came and picked me up. We went out for lunch and then went back to her house and she showed me to my room. She had a big house with a pool and a water slide. This was peak Etheridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in fact, after 3 days, she went on tour and said, "Look, just stay here as long as you want. I'm gone. I'm gone for 2 weeks. Here's
You're
the code."
kidding.
Yeah. I mean, we'd only spent 4 days together or 5 days together in our lives, but she gave me the key to her house in Beverly Hills.
Has Sarah met her, your wife?
Yeah. On the last tour last year, when she came back, and I hadn't seen her for like 10 years, but I heard she was coming, and I just made the effort to reconnect, and it was really great. Her and her wife, are they married? Wife, girlfriend, Mrs.
I think they're married.
Came around here for dinner.
Hey,
and,
Joanne.
We made them tacos.
Funny. Joanne has just asked, was Keanu nice?
Really lovely. I'm still a friend with him to this day. Don't see him very often, of course, but
No.
Just a super, super lovely guy. I just loved him a lot. He was just really nice.
Yeah,
I've hooked up with him a few times in LA since those days. I went back. In fact, when I was staying at Melissa's house, Dogstar came over and visited me. And I was like, "Come to my mansion," and but they just looked after me, took me out for dinner. In fact, you haven't lived until you pushed Keanu Reeves in his pajamas in a wheelchair because he'd broken his leg with a shaved mohawk across a 3-lane highway to go to a strip club because all the girls just crowd around him. It was a great day.
That's so funny.
That was with Slave's sister, actually, with DJ Slave's sister Alicia. There was that. In fact, Keanu paid for me to fly to LA for their manager's 40th birthday years ago. He put some big money down. Kenny, who is Dogstar's manager, one of their best friends, it was his 40th, and Keanu blew the budget and invited like 100 people of Kenny's friends from around the world to this party, and I made it on the list.
Oh my God.
So I got the courts like, "Hey Otis, do you want to come to LA for 5 nights? We're doing a party for Kenny." I was like, "God, I could probably fit that in my schedule."
Let me just check my diary here.
So it's the sound guy for Dogstar, this guy called Matt Dubin, who's one of my favorite people on the planet, is still one of my very best friends to this day, and I see him every time we go to LA. He came to mine and Sarah's wedding. He's from all the guys in the band and also Kenny, the manager. We're still really dear friends after all these years.
Wow, God, you've got some good stories. By the way,
I got lots.
Have you? Well, let's hear some more of them. We're in no rush. Angelina Perkinson, who's actually, we're twins. We were born on exactly the same day, but we've got mutual friends, but we haven't met yet. But she has said that Melissa does, just for those of you who are Melissa Etheridge fans, Melissa does a live show daily around 11 a.m. our time in her lounge. So you may want to check that out. Hey?
We watched it today.
Was it good? Is she good?
Yeah. Honestly, it's funny because the interesting thing about Melissa is when I went to the gig, I was deep in sort of hip hop, sort of reggae mind frame. And I was like, well, it's not really my kind of music, but I went along and she was just so good. It was like, those big epic songs, those big anthems. She can play, she can sing, and now she's the lead guitarist and stuff as well. She's running things.
Hey, I really want to get into the Lucky Taco story because if there are such things,
branding,
I love it. If there is such a thing as a Lucky Taco groupie, I'm probably it, and it's not just because I live in Hamilton, so I don't eat a lot of Lucky Tacos, so I probably need to get them delivered or something. But what I love is the entire story, following it from day one, basically online. And I think it is, I tell you why I love it. It's a love story. It is a real love story. Is that fair to say? You know, between you and Sarah, you can tell there's so much love there. And then there's this amazing story of growing a business together. And I love
Yeah.
it. So just talk about it. I want to hear it.
Well, you know, the love story, you know, that's a two-pronged attack. It's because when I married Sarah, she was doing very well. She just won some big awards. She was a creative in an advertising agency in a creative team, and she'd just won some decent awards and done some big ads and was making quite a lot of money. And and we got married, and this is like great. This girl's 10 years younger than me, and she's gorgeous, and she's making all this money. But as it all transpired, she just wasn't very happy in the advertising world, and it didn't treat her badly, but it's always been a bit of a boys' club, and I don't think anyone would deny that. But she was like, uh, she was just coming home, and she wasn't happy, and she had all the money and all the long lunches at Prego, and she was just like, she's just unhappy. And I was like, baby, it's like I think you gotta get out of there. You know, it's kind of, it's not your thing. You know, people can do it. I've got so many friends in the ad world, and they love it, and they're good at it, and they can take it. But Sarah just felt a bit poisoned by the lies, for lack of a better, you know, selling shit to people that they don't want. And so I mean, so the first, you know, the love bit, I was like, she was like, what am I going to do? And I was like, baby, if you decide something that you really want to do, I will help you do it, because I just want you to be happy. So that was, you know, and she was like, oh, you know, and started thinking. And then, yeah, our honeymoon, we went to LA, ate some tacos, came home. She was like, fuck it, let's do a taco truck. And I was like, no, no, crazy bitch. uh, but you know, you know, it's, you know, whatever you want to do, babe, I'll help you. So, you know, this, you know, it's a lot of people, because I have this sort of B grade sort of celebrity history, or whatever it is. It's a lot of people thought it was my brainchild. I'm a creative, but it was, I mean, it was Sarah's idea, and I've been her lovely assistant. But of course, there's more than that, because we've done it together, and I've contributed so much. But it's really, this has been her dream. In fact, I sort of gave up my life as an artist for a few years, to be honest, because we just worked this thing 6, 7 days a week, and it was really, really hard. Nothing could prepare us for it. And there were tears, and we nearly went under, and we tried to get over. And I mean, you know, it's been a real roller coaster, but it's settled into a nice rhythm now, like any small business. But we'd never done hospital before. We just were like, our food's great. Let's buy a truck and put a kitchen in it and be awesome. And you know, and to live up to that, you know, we told everyone this is going to be the best fucking truck you've ever seen. It's like, that truck better be awesome. It's like, this is going to be the best tacos you've ever eaten. The tacos better be awesome. So we just spent a lot of time living up to our own hype, or our own bullshit, just trying to, the self-fulfilling prophecy. So you know, and after 7 years, it's kind of, things have sort of come straight. And so so the courier before that, I just had to run out for. Now here's the funny thing, because in these days of Rahui, um, a year or and a half ago, we set up as a meal delivery business as a sideline to the truck, doing uncooked meals, sort of like a taco version of my food bag, but we only do tacos.
Yes.
Um, and as luck would have it, we have fallen into the essential services um, category, because all our supply chain is food safety plans, and everything is, basically, we get our stuff from the same sort of places as my food bag, etc. We've got a very small little kitchen. We've converted our garage at home into a fully functioning A-graded commercial kitchen. So we've got our own tiny little mini factory in the garden, and there's only me and Sarah, so we don't have hundreds of staff coming and going. We get our supplies, we wash everything down, we make these food kits, we set them up and courier them out. And so we're still going, and not only going, we've actually doubled, tripled, and quadrupled our output because people don't want to go to supermarkets, and people love tacos, and in fact, people have started ordering them with little messages because for people that they can't see or hang out with, and it's like, oh man, we were going to have dinner, but we can't see you, but here's some tacos on us. So people are sort of buying Lucky Taco Fiesta kits as gifts. It's really amazing. We've been super busy, so at the moment we're up at and because of course I thought lockdown, it's like, oh man, I'm going to sit on the couch and eat chips and watch Netflix, and this is going to be a crazy time. But we're up at 6 a.m. and in the kitchen and shredding cabbage and bagging everything up and putting them in boxes. And
do you enjoy that part of it? You yourself personally. By the way, before you answer that, happy birthday to Annie Chappell, who's just joining in. I remembered it's her birthday, and she's just.
Oh, happy birthday, Annie!
Yeah.
I do, but to be honest, it's not the best use of my time. If I'm being perfectly honest, because I'm quite a good artist, for example.
Apparently, yeah.
But I can't be at my studio at the moment, and I've got limited. So I've got a little office here but I don't really have work coming in. I can't make screen prints. I can't paint paintings. So I could let my ideas flow. So while I'm at home with the missus, it's a bloody good use of my time. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But and the funny thing is, because now our output has sort of tripled. There's a lot more people hearing about us, and then word of mouth and stuff. At the moment, we've had to cap it because we're getting more orders than our supply chain can actually keep up with. Because we were always just quite small and ticking over. It was a little bit of an earner, but we made some good money from the truck, and I make some money from my art and stuff like that. But now it's like we can only. It's a very small little factory. It's a small little commercial kitchen facility, and there's only so many fridges and freezers, so we can't do hundreds a day because we simply don't have the walk-in chest freezers and, like I say, the 30 staff doing it all day. So at the moment, it's sort of up at 6 a.m. and out in the kitchen at 7, and we usually we're finishing by about 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then Sarah goes to her email and correlates all the orders and sets it up for the next day, and then we're ordering more cabbages to arrive in 2 days, and so
how many tacos would you be sending? Would you be making a week? Like hundreds and hundreds?
Well, there's 12 in a kit, right? It's like there's a dozen tacos, and you cook them yourself.
Yeah.
But like today we sent out about 40 boxes, and half of them were doubles or triples. So it's like, there's 40 people. There's 40 families in Auckland having tacos tonight. Yeah, and some are having parties because some get 2 dozen, some get 3 dozen. So it's a sort of
gotcha.
That sort
can
of
you
scale.
Can you send them to Hamilton or not?
We can, because we can get have you got me? Oh, sweetheart, I love you.
Oh, gee, look at this. He's settling in. Hello, Sarah.
Hi. She's gone. She's on the phone. Because we get the basics are chicken and steak, and it's all marinated, and you cook it yourself. But we can get we've got a bunch of chicken and steak frozen, so we can put it frozen in a box with an ice pack and send it overnight, because they're in these chilltainers, the boxes that keep it cold. And so as it sort of slowly thaws overnight, when it arrives to you the next day, it's just pretty much good to go.
Hey, Mike King said to me today, he opened up by saying, I really love what you've done with the background, Sean, of your podcast. He said, so I had a green T-shirt on, about the same colour as we said.
No, I saw it. I saw him giving you shit.
He said the effort that you've put in is just incredible. What would you do with that wall? You're an artist. What would you do?
Well, I'd buy an Otis Frizzell or a Western Frizzell print and hang it on the wall.
What you mean something like this, like a?
Oh yeah, well, but not. But you don't want that asshole yelling at you.
I know,
not on camera.
That's the only thing. It's one of my favourite.
I mean, you want it in the house, but you don't necessarily want it behind you while you're talking to people.
Maybe I should hang it up in the bathroom.
Jesus.
What do you think of him? Isn't he a bloody shocker?
Oh, it's honestly,
It's
it's sad. Well, the funny thing is, I've got a lot of American friends, right? And
yeah.
if I literally, I mean, I sound like such a lefty liberal even going there, but my friends are artists,
Yes.
musicians, blacks, Mexicans, lesbians, homosexuals. Like these are the people, and they live in New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco. So in my mind, when I think of Americans, I'm like wonderful, creative, beautiful people. But what is easy to forget is just there's just a whole lot of horrible, horrible people in America. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
And
do.
and, and they're being led by a narcissistic, psychopathic fucking idiot. So it's sort of like it's heavy going because you see these people you love who are deep in the shit right now, and Donald Trump is really not helping the COVID-19 situation
Not really.
very much. You know what I mean? You might as well have Mike Hosking in charge.
I'm talking to Otis Frizzell, artist, musician, Lucky Taco man. He loves Lucky Taco. If you've got any questions for him, I can ask him some questions because
Do you get questions rolling in?
Sorry?
Do you get questions rolling in? People on Facebook.
Well, I haven't really mastered the technology, to be honest, yet.
I can dig it.
Can you imagine that? Oh, you should have seen us everybody. You should have seen us actually trying to get this interview up and running beforehand. We just, I wish I had recorded it because we were just like, here's two guys that have worked.
Neither of us are obviously sort of high tech young people. Shit.
1 minute I'm talking and I can hear, and he can't hear me and he's stuck. Oh God, it was a bloody nightmare. It was quite embarrassing. Huh?
Amazingly enough, my wireless speakers worked. When they came in, nothing else seemed to work.
But the build-up was hilarious. So
I just called you Paul. I just called you Paul there for a second, but I got a friend called Paul O'Neill. I slipped.
Oh really?
No relation.
The other thing is that you saw, like, I have this thing of when I have a bit of success in my business, as a celebration, I buy some art off you.
Oh,
and then
long may you succeed and celebrate, my friend.
So I bought one piece off you. No, I do. And
you got a few.
Eh?
You've got a few.
Yeah, I have got a few. Yeah. Have you got any other cool stories that you can share with us? Because I'm not a very good interviewer, and it's like I'm running out of stuff to ask, and it'll be after this that I go, shit, I should have asked him this. Have you got any fun stories? You've met so many interesting people in your life.
Okay, do you know? Okay, I'll just pull one out. You know, Cockney rhyming slang.
Yeah.
You know the dog and bone, and round the Jack Horner geezer. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, when I was driving for Elton John, and his husband at the time, after the concert, his husband sparked up a very small little marijuana cigarette in the van.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, is it all right if we smoke in this van?" And I was like, "You know what? This is while you're in this van, it's your van. You know what I mean?" And they were like, "Would you like some?" And I was like, I can't. I'm the driver. I'm your driver.
Yes.
I can't do it." And he said, "Can you smoke?" He said, "Have you ever smoked marijuana and driven before?" And I said, "Many times." And he said, "Well, let's just," they were feeling good and fun, so I didn't rip into it. Like, I was doing it for a living, and I was making good money, and I had a boss and stuff. I had a little puff. But so here's where the Cockney rhyming slang comes in. As we're coming down the motorway, there's a sign that says Khyber Pass, right?
Yeah.
And in Cockney rhyming slang, Khyber Pass is
up your Khyber Pass. Yep.
Yeah, right. And so I indicated and we turned left, and we went up the Khyber Pass. And they looked at each other and said, "Well, what do you know? Otis has just taken us both up the Khyber Pass."
That's funny.
So
Got any other?
I
Got
took
any other
I
good
took
stories
I took
about
Elton John up the Cobra Pass.
silly original different? Anything? I'm just can hey, you people out there, can you help me with some questions? I'm not an interviewer. You need to find some. There's some really talented people that are watching this. Come on, Martin Brown. You must have a good question, Martin. Bloody help me out, guys. I'm battling here. I'm struggling. It's not what I do.
Is anyone watching? Am I interesting?
Yeah, there's people watching.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and they watch later on.
Oh, true. Can't
Yeah, can't play, right? You're doing fine, Sean. Kieran Carr. Oh, you're a nice man. Can you please show me tomorrow how to do Facebook Live? And there's people messaging me, but they're not actually. It's not in relation to the show.
Well, I don't know what to say. What else? We've talked about being a driver.
Yeah.
Talked about making tacos.
What's that in the background that's all stacked up there?
What's that?
Behind you, what's that all stacked up? Are they just boxes or something?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. These these are called chilltainers.
Yeah.
And they sit. I've got my dehumidifier on there. They just sit in the office until we need them because we can't stash them all in the kitchen. So we fold these up with an ice pack and put tacos in them and send them out. But what was I going to? Oh yeah. So the thing is, I mean, during this, as we have called it, Rahui.
Yes. By the way, if you just tuned in, I'm talking to Otis Frizzell, and I'd call the show Lockdown, which sounds pretty shit. I've now renamed it Rahui.
Rahui. Got to roll that R, bro.
Rahui.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on that.
I hope that's right now.
Huh?
I'm sure that's what they called it on BFM. I hope I haven't screwed that up.
It kind of sounds familiar.
Yeah. But so, because what happened, Sean, this is, we never got around to this, is because, where the Lucky Taco is fundamentally a taco truck. We had bookings booked right through to the end of summer into autumn. And of course, they just cut it out. And we lost thousands and thousands of dollars like that. And it's, and then lockdown. So it's like, well, I'm not sort of painting and selling art. Things got a bit tricky. So Sarah, I mean, here's the thing. Some people are doing it really, really fucking tough right now. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it kind of, it's tricky because you don't want to think about it because it is depressing, but you've got to think about it because you've got to give a shit about people, and you can't give a shit about people if you're ignoring them. You know what I mean? And so we're just so lucky because when we just sort of lost our entire income, and then the fiestas started to ramp up. So at the moment we're doing okay. So we're super lucky. But man, I just know some people that are eating shit, and it's heartbreaking.
It's terrible, especially in that kind of field that we are familiar with, both of us. Entertainment, you think about comedians, musicians.
Well, my best friend, well, I was just talking about before, Mark, Log Cabin or DJ Slave. They were he was with Fat Freddy's Drop in Europe, and they'd done the first gig of, I think, a 30 gig tour. I think it was 30, and then came home, and that is income for. I mean, there's 8 people in the band, the roadies, everyone, and like. Fat Freddy's Drop are doing very well, but none of them are rich. They've got kids, and they're musicians. You know what I mean? They're not. They're not. They're comfortable by making music and touring, which is so brilliant. But man, everyone involved in that whole huge machine of world touring just got all their income completely sucked out of it. It's a heartbreak. Yeah.
No, it's touching everybody. I mean, it is. You're right. It's really shit. I mean, it's like most days, no bullshit, I'll get a message from someone saying, "I lost my job today. They made me redundant."
Oh, well, one of my best friends works for Bauer Media.
Oh no, isn't that bloody sad?
Oh my God! I mean,
New Zealand Women's Weekly been around since 1932, I think it was started.
It's funny we were talking about that because we were weighing up the essential services, and it's like, well, Women's Weekly, there's a lot of old ladies out there that connect to the world with that. They sell a lot. That magazine sells a lot of copies, and they talk and connect and read. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, is it essential? It's sort of like, I'm sure it feels pretty essential to some old lady living by herself. You know what I mean?
What music are you enjoying at the moment that you're listening to?
What am I listening to at the moment? Well, I really love the new Fat Freddy's Drop album. Funnily enough, I'm invested in Fat Freddy's Drop just because I think they're awesome and I love their music. What do we listen to? Do you know Bailey Wiley?
No.
She's a girl from Auckland, sort of hip hop, soul, funk sort of groove. She's amazing. God, what did I hear? Tammy Nielsen. I love Tammy a lot.
Yeah, fantastic.
You're hip to Tammy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Funny enough, I'm friends with Simon Sweetman, the music reviewer.
I have just connected with him on Facebook. I've never met him, and I think he's just so hilarious. That guy. He's
a really smart guy. He cops a lot of shit because well, I mean, I don't know whether he tells it like it is, but he tells it like he calls it like he sees it, which is something which I respect a lot. But he's always copping shit from someone for saying he didn't like an album, and it's like, you're a reviewer and you don't like it. What are you going to say?
That's what critics do. Yeah. They just say they love everything.
But and in fact, funnily enough, he got all the shit for his review about the Nadia Reid album, and he wasn't even that critical of it. He just said he liked the last one more. It wasn't even that, but I actually quite like the new Nadia Reid album. It's quite pretty.
Are you a Kanye West fan, as in the music?
Not really. Not really. I like New Zealand hip hop. Funnily enough, New Zealand hip hop has got to a place. Like, do you know Church and AP, for example? Like, there's a lot of really, Eno and Dirty and Church and AP. There's all this sort of Swid It. There's all this really great sort of very quite sophisticated hip hop coming out of Aotearoa at the moment, which is amazing to see as an old hip hop head like myself.
I was never ever a fan of Kanye West at all. I just thought he was the most arrogant guy. And strangely enough, there's two artists that my 15-year-old just plays hip hop all the time, 24/7, all kinds of music. And he introduced me to Kanye West. He said, "You have a listen to this and you tell me that you don't enjoy this." And this was before, to be honest, before the church stuff, which he was, no offense to anybody who's religious or spiritual. That's cool. I respect that. But
I tell you what, though, I heard one of his gospel songs and it was quite amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's with a mixed sort of, excuse me, I've got hay fever. It's a terrible time to have hay fever in this day and age.
Everyone's going, shit, keep away from
him. A slave played me one of his gospel songs, and it was like, I mean, I'm a lifelong atheist.
Yes.
Not much of a spiritual person in any way, shape, or form. I'm kind of zen with that. But man, I heard one of his gospel songs, and it was pretty amazing. I can put the God stuff aside. Anyone that feels passionate about something, they could be singing about cheese sandwiches, but with that sort of passion.
Do you know what my 15-year-old says exactly the same thing? That's how he sees it. In fact, he described it very similarly. How about Eminem?
I actually haven't even heard his new stuff. I thought he was amazing. Sort of had his day. I saw his performance on the what was it, on the Grammys, that everyone said he was old and shit, but I actually thought he was quite good. I mean, he was the best for quite a while, and that's something. Being the best at anything for any amount of time.
I've got a 15-year-old and almost a 13-year-old, and this is weird. So the guy must be 48, 49. And I took them to Wellington to watch the concert, and they're both big fans, but my 12-year-old, massive fan, and he doesn't swear. This is the funny thing; he doesn't swear, Jackson.
Right. And there's profanities.
So when he sings the songs, And he's a quiet guy. He's a quiet, shy guy, but loves Eminem. When he sings the songs, he does sing the swear words, which is really, really cute. Knows every single word, but doesn't.
Does
sing
he replace them with like bicycle, or
he
just leaves them out? Right,
he just leaves them out. And I said to him, "What do you think about these new hip hop artists, Jackson?" Because he knows, he's listened to every album, knows virtually every lyric, and he goes, "They're okay, Dad, but they're not storytellers like Eminem."
Well, there's some truth to that. That's a fair call. Eminem is a great storyteller, and I don't want to be a grumpy old man going, "Oh, music in my day was way better," because music in everyone's day was way better than it is now, right? So, but that's just my, I consider the golden, the golden era of hip hop is way before Eminem. Some people think Eminem's old school.
Yeah.
But young people do. Eminem is not old school. Like KRS-One is not even old school. He's like true school. It goes back, old school is Curtis Blow. How many people know of Curtis Blow these days, and great storytellers. And hip hop was always about great storytellers. And Eminem was sort of like a new school. To me, Eminem was like new school. That's how old I am. And a great storyteller. So for me, it was like storytellers, and then just sort of garbling mess. And I'm like, oh well, the music has evolved into something I don't really like anymore.
Yeah.
For those guys, the sort of the mumble rappers and stuff. It's like I can't hate it. I just don't like it, because there's still people like, wow, I mean, shit. There's still people like Swidit who are doing really amazing things coming out of Stony Hanga, Auckland, Akalofa. There's great stuff in Aotearoa hip hop right now.
Martin Brown says M Bizzle is in the house. Otis.
M Bizzle. I don't know for sure, Marty, but I'm pretty sure that I came up with M Bizzle and because it's my funny hip hop thing. M Bizzle, I love that. I love Martin Brown. He's an awesome guy.
Is he Jan Hal Regal's partner?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. I love Jan Hal Regal. I just think she's
awesome too. And funny, I've known Jan for, I don't know, my brother. I'm pretty sure he directed, but he might have just worked on it. Is that Red Letters? Is that Jan Hal Regal? If I had my way, wouldn't be writing red letters to you. I think that song and that video, I believe, is Jan. Maybe 30 years ago. My brother directed the clip. Maybe I'm making this up, but I've had a couple of glasses of wine.
That's right. Yeah, that whole thing that she's done with was it Sportswoman of the Year?
Oh, she's a cool lady, man. She's been at it for years. She's a lovely woman.
What do you call himself? M Bizzle wants to see your newest tat. It's a family show, so just yeah. Oh God, here we go. Oh no. Okay.
Wait a minute.
Where is it?
Which one is it? Can I get it? It's there. Oh.
Where? What is it?
It's my cat with a dagger through its head.
It's what?
It's my cat with a dagger through its head.
Now, why would you do that?
Can you see that?
Why would you do that to your cat?
Because here's the thing. My cat's a real bitch. And I can't really put a dagger through her head. And I've always liked the classic, there's a classic tattoo of like a panther with a sort of bejeweled dagger through its head. And I considered getting that, and I was like, well, why don't I just replace the panther with Poppy? Because she wakes me up at 4 o'clock every morning. That's me getting back at my cat. It's a weird, petty sort of tattoo.
Do you have a dog?
Oh, no. No dogs, no children. I'm
Sorry?
too smart for that. What? No, I said no dogs and no children.
No children. That is smart.
I've got a wife and a cat. What more do I need?
And your wife is lovely. God, she's amazing.
She's a good girl, not gonna lie.
Any other questions for this guy? Can you leave us with one more story before we go? You've been very generous with your time. It's been an hour.
Shit, people will be bored like God.
No, they've been tuning in, and they'll come back and watch. Don't worry about that.
Okay, here we go. Let's finish with this.
Make it good.
Many years ago, when Michael Jackson came to New Zealand, I was part of the driving crew, but not his driver, because he wanted a chauffeur with a hat and the full gear. That was his thing. So we had a chauffeur, but I got the job of driving his camera crew around, and we shadowed his car and him everywhere he went. And I had a Range Rover with a pop top. Well, I didn't have one. They supplied one. And I drove around, and every time they pulled up at the lights in the white limo, Michael would push the window back and pop up, and they would film all the people swamping the car and stuff. So they were all shooting this stuff for his doco. So I was shadowing Michael Jackson while he was here. And while he was here, he was shooting some video of him dancing against green screen for a T3 song, which is Tito Jackson's Kids. He was doing a cameo. So we went to the production village, and I had to sit there all day because there was nothing to do, because he was just on stage dancing. And I knew a guy that worked there, and there was a Tyson Holyfield fight that day, and I was always enjoyed the heavyweight fights. What up to Joseph Parker, Karpai, love that guy.
Yeah, great guy.
So I said to them, like, is there a TV? I need to watch the Tyson Holyfield fight. And they're like, oh yeah, we can patch it through to the screening room. And they had a mini cinema with like 20 seats and a screen that was sort of like probably 3 meters by 1.5 meters. Quite a big screen. And so I went in there to watch the fight. And I was like, yes, this is the best way to watch the fight in the world. And just before the fight came on, I was in there by myself. The door opened, and Michael Jackson walked in and came down and sat one seat away from me in the front row. There was only 20 seats in the whole cinema. And I looked around, and I was like, whoa, fuck. I was like, think of something to say, think of something to say, think of something to say. This is Michael Jackson. I turned around and I said, who's your money on? Right? And he turned around to me and said, oh, I like Mike. I don't think nobody could beat Mike. Right? It's like, wow. He talked back to me, right? And then the fight started, right? And then Holyfield won. And I didn't talk to him during the fight because, we weren't best buds, and I was sitting there freaking out thinking I'm sitting next to Michael Jackson, sitting next to Michael Jackson, sitting next to Michael Jackson. But Holyfield won the fight, right? And so after it had all died down, I turned around to him and said, I bet you're glad you're not a betting man. And he said, oh man, I did not think nobody could beat Mike. And then he got up and walked out.
I love it. You got some great stories there, man. Hey, thanks for your time. Thanks for your time. You've given us an hour. Very generous. Hope everything goes well with you and Sarah for this busy time. And thanks for all the joy that you continue to give us with your art, with your beautiful food, with your creativity. You're a great man.
Crazy. Hey, thanks, Sean. It's been fun, actually. It's nice to chat face to face with people outside of the bubble, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, Karpai to you, brother.
All right. Karpai. Thank you. Bye.
Cheerio.